Five, four, three, two.
Hey guys, this is Mike with MotoQuest. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to be here for this webinar. This is our American Southwest webinar. I'm taking Dax's place because he is going to be the presenter this time. I've got a couple of notes to get out of the way before it all kicks off. If you guys are viewing this on your phones, stick it in the landscape mode. That's going to help you guys see the photos of the presentation much better. If you guys have any questions, please use the Q&A function down at the bottom of your screen. We're going to wait until we've got a handful of questions in there, and then we'll find a natural stopping point in the presentation to read them aloud. Without further ado, here is Dax.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, welcome everybody. Super stoked to be doing this. This is our American Southwest webinar. I've guided this tour several times now, and I'm going to be guiding an upcoming Wonders of the West tour. And so I've really grown to love and appreciate this region of my home country, the United States, and I'm excited to share that with you guys. So let's get started here. First off, I wanted to give a little bit of background about myself. I am not Phil, obviously. I'm not the founder of the company, so you might be asking yourself, who is this guy? Why should I be listening to him? A little bit about me and my background. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in a small logging town just outside Portland, Oregon. And I grew up riding motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles since I was about 6 years old. I'm probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old in that picture, riding my mom's old TL 125. So I've been a lifelong motorcyclist, grew up riding old logging roads out in the Cascade Mountains. When I got a little bit older in high school, started racing motocross. And then when I was 16, got my endorsement. I come from a big riding family. These are my grandparents, my grandmother on the left, my grandfather in the middle, and then both of them with my mom sandwiched in between them there all the way on the right. So a long family lineage of motorcycle riding, both on my mom's and my dad's side. And it's a big part of who I am. After I graduated from college, got my degree, came back up to Portland and got a job at MotoQuest. Started off as a bike washer there. That is my former boss there on the left-hand side, my favorite Romanian, Ovi, and just worked my way up, become the facility manager in Portland, and now I'm a tour guide as well, a couple times a year. So that's a little bit about me. I assume some of you are familiar with MotoQuest, but here's just a little bit more about the company and what we do. So MotoQuest is a 27-year-old motorcycle rental and touring company. We're based out of Anchorage, Alaska. The company was founded in Alaska by Phil Freeman, but we also have two other locations outside of Anchorage. We have a shop in Portland, Oregon that, as I mentioned, I run for the company, and we have a shop out of Los Angeles, California as well. So all up and down the west coast of the States. From those locations, we offer guided supported motorcycle tours, and we do that in 20 countries all over the world. And then we do BMW rentals here in the States. We have the full GS line of motorcycles, so the 750s, 850s, and then the 1250s and 1300s now. This is a map showing all of the countries that MotoQuest offers tours in. You can see it's a pretty extensive catalog, actually. We are, of course, in North America, where we're founded and where we do a bulk of our business, but we also do quite a lot in South America. We do some in Asia, a little bit in Europe. And who is MotoQuest, right? That's the other part of this. MotoQuest isn't just a company, it's also its employees, right? There's a couple of heavy hitters that work at MotoQuest, first of which is Brendan Anders, my boss and the general manager of the company. Brendan is in here as well. You also have Mike Saxby, who introduced me. He is the Anchorage facility manager and the service manager. You have, of course, Mr. Freeman, Phil, our founder, and probably our most experienced tour guide and our most extensive tour guide. He does tours all over the world, India, Japan, South America, Alaska, you name it, Phil's probably done it at least once. And then we have one of the owners of MotoQuest, Mr. Kevin Haggerty. Kevin Haggerty does many of the trade shows for us. He guides tours every once in a while, and he does some of the sales for us as well. Okay, so now that I've introduced myself, given you a little bit of background information about MotoQuest, I'd like to just give you some background information about the American Southwest, the region that we're going to be talking about today. The American Southwest is in the southwest of the United States. It's a region that's known for its arid deserts, rugged landscapes, Native American cultures, and Spanish-Mexican heritage. There's no universally agreed upon hard boundaries to the Southwest, but it's generally agreed upon that it is parts of Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Western Texas, Nevada, and Southern Utah as well. And it's a pretty big area. The United States is a large country, and the American Southwest is a large region. It's around 500 to 600,000 square miles, which, just for a little bit of context for some of our European friends across the pond, that's larger than France and Germany combined. Roughly, it's about 1/7 of the entire U.S. landmass. And the Southwest, in addition to many things that make it a special place, it is also very special from a geography perspective. One of the cool things about the American Southwest is something called the Great Basin. There is a national park called Great Basin National Park, but the Great Basin is actually much larger than the national park. And the Great Basin is very cool in that all of the moisture and rain that happens in the Great Basin does not leave out to the ocean. It all stays within the Great Basin. It'll either evaporate and then rain again, and that will go into aquifers and lakes and streams, but generally no water flows out from the Great Basin. Of course, the Bonneville Salt Flats is within the American Southwest, another cool feature there. All should be familiar with Bonneville Salt Flats. And why ride the American Southwest? Why come here? Why is this such a special place, particularly for motorcyclists? And it's because of stuff like this, these kind of views that you really just don't get anywhere else in the world. The famous red rocks and the arches that you see in southern Utah, the beautiful skyline there in the horizon with those just gorgeous sunsets. And you can get up on these playas and up on these mountains and get these great viewpoints that you can look out miles out over the desert. Here's another one, just beautiful views. Pretty much any direction you look, you can do a full 360, and there's just views like this in every direction. Another beautiful view. This is a really cool spot that we go to on our American Southwest tour that I'll dive into a little bit later, but this is called Monument Valley. This should look a little familiar to you if you're a fan of Tom Hanks films. And again, just the beautiful vistas and the sky there. Montana is known as Big Sky Country, but I think that could equally be applied to the Southwest as well, especially at nighttime. It's really special. These remote desert landscapes, you feel just incredibly remote out there. It really, if you've never visited the Western United States, it's just the scale of it. It's so expansive that it's really just a special place. You have to go there to truly experience it. Another good reason to ride the Southwest, to visit there, is the food. It's not known as a particularly food-oriented place to go, but there's tons of good food to be had. Most of it's going to be like this, good American food, steak, veggies, that kind of stuff, cold beer. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of Spanish and Mexican heritage. So it's not just the landscapes and the views and the food that makes the American Southwest special, but it is also the culture and current culture. Culture just in the relatively recent past, right? Like Route 66, some of that classic Americana you can experience there, and ancient cultures. Right, the Native Americans have inhabited the Southwest for thousands of years, and you get to see really special stuff like this. So cultures both recent and ancient. And it just, these pictures are not going to convey to you the sense of specialness that you get while you're there, and how it's when you visit these places, it's a really good place to go there and quietly reflect on how long people have been here for and the cultures that created these pictographs. It's pretty cool. So, in addition to all that, if I still haven't sold you on the Southwest, you have all these public lands available to you, right? Some of the best national parks in the United States are there. Not just national parks, you have national monuments, national forests, all of these places: White Sands, Joshua Tree, Death Valley, Great Basin, Big Bend, Mesa Verde, Great Sand Dunes, Arches, Bryce's Canyon, etc. All of these national parks and public lands all have their own unique experience to offer you. And I would encourage you to get off the main beaten path, right? Don't just visit Grand Canyon. Absolutely go there and experience it, but go beyond that into some of these maybe lesser known parks. Okay. And another good reason to visit the Southwest is the people. The people there are super friendly, really uh, fun, unique characters you can meet out there in the desert. I just love talking with the locals when I'm guiding these trips. And again, Route 66, can't beat that history and the classic Americana that you can get riding that. And the riding is good in the Southwest, right? Not just the road riding. There's tons of twisty roads you can hit out there. Everything from really tight, technical, twisty roads to big open sweepers. It's all going to be there for you in the Southwest. And not just the road riding is good, but there's tons of off-road riding to do as well. If you're comfortable and competent in the dirt, there is ample opportunity to get out there in the Southwest and go ride in the dirt and do some exploring. There's tons of just open roads out there that you can go ride. Most of it is federal land, and you have no problem getting out there and doing some exploring. And really, that's where some of the best sites and roads that you're going to find are at, is off that beaten path, right? Going out and exploring, going down some of these dirt roads just to see what's there. That's really part of what makes it special down there. Off on an adventure. And sometimes you drop your bike, pick it up, dust yourself off, get back up and go again. That's just how it goes. This picture was taken very recently. This was on the American Southwest tour that I guided this fall. This is just outside Moab. Moab, Utah is known for its red rock, for all the good mountain biking and dirt biking you can do out there. But you can still go out there and have tons of fun, even if you're on a big, full, big boy bike 1250 GS. You can get out there and do some exploring. And that's what the bike looked like after we were done having our fun out there. It had rained recently, obviously. It was a little bit wet, but tons of fun. Okay, I think this is probably a good natural stopping point. Mike, do we have any questions queued up you like to throw out at me?
Yeah. First question is, from which location do you launch your Southwest tours?
Yeah, so we offer two different tours in the American Southwest, and I'll go into a little more detail on those. One of them is just called our American Southwest Tour. The other one is called our Wonders of the West Tour. Very broadly speaking, you could think of the American Southwest Tour as a loop that both tours start and end in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's very convenient for our customers in that it's a major international airport. The starting location is very close to Las Vegas Airport. And so American Southwest you can think of as a big loop that is Las Vegas east, and then Wonders of the West is a loop in and out of Vegas, and you can think of it as Las Vegas west. Any other questions, Mikey?
Uh, yeah. And we're running both those tours here in March, and we've got and they're both confirmed, or March and April, and they're both confirmed to have a few slots left on them if you guys are looking to join them. What is the next one is what are the ideal months to ride the Southwest to beat the heat?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's a question we get a lot from people. And really, if you are going to ride the Southwest, you want to be doing it in shoulder season. What I mean by that is you want to ride it in April, in the spring or the fall, right? So if you go in the summer, it's just going to be too hot. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be borderline unbearable, especially for somebody who's from Portland, Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not used to that kind of heat. I can't handle that. So shoulder season's the time to go. If you go in the winter, it's going to be too cold. You can get into some elevation in the American Southwest, believe it or not. And so if you start getting into that elevation, you can run into snow, you can run into road closures. So as an example, for our American Southwest trip, we run that in April and October, and Wonders of the West, we run it at the tail end of March and then October as well. And that's generally about right. That's typically when you want to be going.
And we've got one more question from Dorian. Are most of your tours on pavement, or do you offer ADV off-road excursions?
Yeah, another good question. So for these tours specifically, the American Southwest and Wonders of the West, those tours are paved, and you can actually ride them 100% paved if you want to. You can take those trips and not hit the dirt at all. What we like to do is offer optional dirt rides. So for the American Southwest, there's a couple of different dirt riding opportunities. If you do not feel comfortable riding in the dirt, or maybe you're bringing your own bike on the trip and you're riding maybe a Harley Davidson or a big cruiser that you don't want to take off road, that's totally fine. We will give you the route you can take pavement back, and we'll meet up and continue from there. And another thing that we like to do, again, on the American Southwest trip, we have a rest day in Moab, Utah. And on that rest day, we like to give you the choice, right? So if you it's about midway through the trip. So if you are just feeling fatigued and tired from riding every day, you can absolutely just take the rest day and rest and relax, do your own thing, maybe explore Moab a little bit. It's a pretty cool town. But the guide is going to go out and do some optional dirt riding for the day. So we give you the choice. You want to stay and relax, or you can go out with the guide and go rip around on the dirt. But it's totally optional either way.
If you guys are looking for more dirt-oriented tours too, we do offer Death Valley and Moab Explorers for private groups that explore a lot more of that.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So once you've decided that you want to go to the Southwest, there's a couple of things that you should know before you go, a little bit of trip prep, just to help make sure your trip is successful and you get the most out of it. First is, if you're going to rent a motorcycle from MotoQuest, or whether you decide to go on one of our guided supported tours, or you could just rent a motorcycle from us out of our Long Beach office and go ride the Southwest yourself. If you do decide to rent that bike from us, you want to do it about 12 months in advance. You would probably want to at least start your inquiry with us, check on availability, things like that. Availability can be slim in those shoulder seasons. So, good idea there. You want to start planning this about 12 months out. You want to make your hotel and resort reservations up to 6 months in advance, especially if you have high standards, right? A lot of the accommodations in the Southwest are not what I would describe as luxury accommodations. So if you have those high standards, you want to be booking about 6 months. That's about right. Set up service appointments at least 3 weeks in advance. So if you decide that, maybe you burn out your set of tires while you're on the road, or you need an oil change or whatever, you want to schedule that service appointment 3-4 weeks in advance, about a month maybe, to make sure you can get into that dealership. In my experience, motorcycle dealerships are usually pretty accommodating to a traveling motorcyclist. They'll usually let you kind of skip the service line if you're in a pinch for something, right? They're motorcyclists too. They get it that sometimes you just need help when you're on the road. No harm, no foul, but doing it 3-4 weeks in advance is just going to make sure that you get that appointment when you need it. There's not going to be any headaches there. You want to inform your bank and credit card companies of your upcoming travel, right? Always good practice when you're traveling. Just call your bank. It takes 30 seconds. Give them a heads up you're going to be traveling. You don't want to be at a gas station out in the middle of the Mojave Desert and have your card decline and you don't have cell service, right? And then you're in a pinch, right? So just a little bit of forethought can save you a lot of headache once you're on the road. And then, of course, should go without saying, but you'd be surprised, pack the appropriate tools for your motorcycle, always. Always good advice. You know, the Southwest is not the most remote place in the world, certainly, but there is always an element of self-reliance while you're riding a motorcycle. So packing the appropriate tools, even for just basic stuff, right? Fixing a tire, whether that's a puncture and you're tubeless, you know, you can just bring plugs and a rope kit and a compressor, or if you have tubes, a spare tube is always a good move, and a patch kit for those tubes as well. So just a little bit of trip prep for you. Travel documentation, again, another good move. Should go without saying, but you know, always just helps to cover the basics. Bring copies of your vehicle registration. Just good practice. Always, I think you know, probably have 2 copies on me at all times. One underneath the seat of the bike, and then I like to carry a spare copy, you know, in a Ziploc bag in my riding jacket. You know, I have a climb jacket. Those things have like a million pockets on them, so you can just kind of take that registration, put it in a pocket where there's nothing else in there, and zip it up and just forget about it. Same goes for your insurance card. Make sure it's up to date. Carry, you know, at least 2 copies on you. Always a good move. And roadside assistance is up to date. This is huge. I am a huge believer in roadside assistance. I like AAA. I know the AMA, American Motorcyclist Association, has good roadside assistance. MotoQuest rentals come with roadside assistance as complimentary. Always a good move. I love roadside assistance, and I've used it a million times throughout my life. At one point when I was a younger man and I was driving a beat up old car, I actually maxed out my AAA towing because I called them so many times. They said, "Hey man, no more, you're done for the year," until your policy renews. And then the last thing here is your national park pass. This is, again, going to be critical. You guys saw that list of all those national parks that are in the Southwest. There's tons of them, right? I like to, and I highly recommend, whenever someone signs up on a MotoQuest tour, or if you're just renting or doing your own thing, get the annual park pass. It pays for itself very, very quickly if you visit more than just 1 or even 2 national parks. I think it's, I want to say $70. It's been a minute since I bought one, but it is a good move if you plan on visiting multiple national parks. You get that annual park pass, you're good, unlimited visits for the year. And if you're a senior, they're very affordable. I think they're like half price if you're a senior. So very smart move to get that annual park pass. Highly recommend that. Okay, supplies to bring. Touched on this a little bit earlier about some things, but I'll just go over this again. Toolkit, we already covered that. At least just to cover the basics, right? You're not going to be doing an engine swap out there in the middle of the desert or anything crazy like that, but certainly you should be able to, at a minimum, fix flat tires, whether you have tubes or tubeless, basic electrical stuff. Always zip ties are going to be a good move, things like that. You want to bring a fuel siphon hose. You know, we get a lot of inquiries from people that they have fuel anxiety going out into some remote areas. I am one of those people. I have fuel anxiety too. I totally get it. What I've always found is, rather than carrying extra fuel, right? Because it's heavy, it's awkward. You got to strap it down to the bike somewhere. Even if you get one of those, you know, like giant loop fuel bladders or something like that, it's still just not ideal. I bring a fuel siphon hose instead. It's smaller, it's much lighter, packs down easy, and you're almost never in such a remote spot that a car's not going to drive by you, you know, at least once an hour. And I've never been in a pinch and had a motorist turn me down for a little bit of extra fuel to siphon out of their car, right? People are always very cool with motorcyclists, always willing to help out a motorcyclist in distress. And I truly think bringing that fuel siphon hose is the better way to do it, rather than, you know, a gallon of gas strapped down to your passenger seat. Water, absolutely critical. Most of the American Southwest is in the desert. Most of that desert is going through a severe drought that's been lasting for years. Water can be hard to come by. Increasingly, these small towns in the Southwest are drying up. You'll see a lot of empty pools at hotels and motels because there is just simply not enough water to pump out of the ground to fill up that pool anymore. So bringing water is critical. Always bring more water than you think you need. You know, if you think you need, I don't know, 5 liters of water, bring 7. You will never regret having extra water on you, ever. Physical maps, good move. There is decent reception in the American Southwest in most of these areas, but some of it's mountainous. Sometimes you get down into these slot canyons. You're not going to have service. Always a good move to have physical maps, whether it's a Butler map, AAA maps, whatever it is. Everybody has their preferences, but absolutely you want to bring a physical map with you. And then last but not least, down here at the end is a GPS communicator. I know a lot of people, I think the popular thing right now are those little Garmin inReaches that you can just kind of clip onto your climb jacket somewhere, your backpack, whatever it is, and you can, you press the SOS button. They're better than nothing, but they're still not great. Whenever MotoQuest does a guided tour, we use sat phones, right? Sat phones are king. When you are in an emergency situation, let's say you've crashed or a buddy's crashed and they need medical attention, just firing up that inReach and pressing that SOS button, and it just, you send a signal into the ether and you just hope that somebody comes to get you. That's not going to cut it, right? You want a sat phone so that you can call local emergency services and talk to a human being, and okay, EMS is on their way, search and rescue's on their way. And really, you can only do that with a sat phone. So, they are expensive. They are bulky. They're a little heavy for what they are. I recognize that, but those trade-offs are well worth it, in my opinion, right? When an emergency happens, you want to talk to that human being on the other end of the line, make sure that help is on its way. And you can really only do that with a sat phone. So always highly recommend those.
We've got a question that pertains to this area of the presentation. Do you like it?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, what was the question?
An anonymous attendee said, are any tire recommendations for the Southwest given the combination of heat and pavement, but still good enough to bite for the potentially sandy conditions?
Yeah, that's a good question. Tire preference is so subjective, right? You ask 10 different people their opinions on tires, you're going to get 10 wildly different answers. I can tell you that MotoQuest uses, and Mike, correct me on this, Michelin Anarchy Adventures.
Yes.
For all of our bikes, that is a standard tire. I believe Michelin, if you go to their website, will tell you it's an 80-20 tire or a 90-10 tire. And those work great. They are great on-road tires. I actually have zero complaints about those tires for road riding. I think they're great. They offer good traction. They have good wear patterns for the most part. Fantastic tires, and they're decent for doing some light off-roading. Now, I wouldn't want to go, get into anything too gnarly. Like I certainly wouldn't want to ride like a BDR on those tires. But if you're somebody who mostly rides on the street and does a little bit of off-roading here or there, especially out in the desert where you're not going to run into those moisture conditions, I would highly recommend those Michelins. I really don't have anything bad to say about those tires. Were there any other questions in the queue, Mike, before I move along?
There's a little shout out. Austin Williams just said, "Hey Dax, every day is full of outstanding views from minute to minute around every turn, and it's awesome."
Oh, awesome. Hey, Austin, I really appreciate you chiming in there, man. That's awesome. And he's
And
not wrong. There are beautiful views every day.
And I was going to add in the comment to your GPS communicator thing. If anybody's ever scared of the cost of those things, there are companies around that do rent sat phones too. So if you're ever on a trip and you feel like that's something that you need, you don't have to go through the full-blown cost of buying a $2,000 setup. You can always find out rental generally in those areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the way that I would do it personally. I probably wouldn't go out and buy a sat phone unless I was, doing a month-long trip or something like that. I think renting them is the way to go. And you can usually get those at your local outdoor equipment supplying company. Okay, let's get into some resources here for you guys. I touched on earlier that you should always have physical maps on you. These Butler maps are great, right? I think they need no introduction. Every motorcyclist, I think, knows what Butler maps are. They're great. They're curated for motorcyclists. They'll show you the best riding roads in whatever state you have them for or region. And also underrated feature of these Butler maps that I don't hear people talk about. They're waterproof and they're extremely durable, right? Most of the maps that you get from, let's say, a visitor center or a local establishment wherever you're at. They're usually pretty thin, pretty just, chintzy. They're not great quality. If you get them wet, they'll just disintegrate. Not so with these Butler maps. They are a little pricey, but you get what you pay for. I highly recommend these things. We also use these Indian country maps from AAA, particularly for the American Southwest tour I mentioned. That's a big loop from Las Vegas east. These Indian country maps cover the Navajo Nation and the surrounding land. And these are great maps, very detailed, easy to get your hands on. They're accessible pretty much all over the place. These are a great map. Highly recommend these. They're detailed enough that you can see all the information you want to, but they're not so overly detailed that your eyes just kind of glaze over when you open the map up. So this is another good physical map I would highly recommend for you guys. A couple additional resources. Google Maps, not to be underrated. Love Google Maps. I actually use it for some secondary navigation at times when I'm guiding trips. Great resource for you guys to use. And another one that I really like is Campendium. I don't know if there's any motorcycle campers in the audience. I like to go motorcycle camping. Campendium is a great app that I use that's 100% free. You can go on there and it will show you all of the local campsites in your area, and not just established campsites, right? Like Forest Service campsites, BLM campsites, local municipal campsites that are run. That's great, and it will show those, but it'll also show you some cool dispersed camping options as well. And what I like about Campendium is that it's just other users that have flagged some of these campsites for you, and it's a good resource to. I don't use it to find a specific campsite that I think I'm going to camp at. What I like to do is when I get towards the end of my riding day, say it's 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night, I know I got a couple hours of riding ahead of me, and I'm ready to start looking for where I'm going to rest my head for the day. I'll pull up Campendium and I'll look about an hour or two down the road from where I'm at right now, where I think I want to start, chilling out for the day. And I'll just start looking at Campendium, and you can tell once you've used the app a couple of times that these campsites are usually grouped together. There's usually a cluster of campsites here, cluster of campsites over here. And so I use that app to find a good cluster of campsites. And then I know, okay, if I go to this area about an hour down the road, I know that there's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 campsites all roughly in that area. Chances are pretty good I'm going to find something. So really like Campendium, strongly recommend that to you guys as well. 100% free. And a hugely underutilized resource, in my opinion, are visitor centers, right? They're not super sexy, they're not flashy or glamorous, but they're a good resource, right? And a lot of the times you walk in there, you're like the first person that's walked in there all week, and they are really stoked to see somebody and just really enthusiastic about the local area, really enthusiastic to share their information with you. And they're locals, right? Always good to talk to locals whenever possible. They're going to give you the real down low and the skinny on what's going on in the area. So visitor centers are not to be slept on. I would highly recommend you guys check those out as well. It's a good resource. Okay, and let's talk about weather. Okay, we get tons of questions from people about weather. What's the weather going to be like? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be dry? Is it going to be rainy? What kind of gear should I pack for my trip? And my answer to that question is usually just yes. Yes, there's going to be weather. It is going to be hot. It is going to be cold. It might rain. It might snow on you. It might hail. When I guided my last American Southwest trip with Mike back in the fall last October, there was a thunderstorm that came through and it hailed on us briefly, and we had to hunker down in a little cafe in Monticello, I think, to just hunker down for an hour, right? So weather is unpredictable. The Southwest is unique in that you can truly experience all 4 seasons of weather in one entire day, right? So be prepared for the weather. Bring riding gear for any possible scenario, and you'll be happy. You won't be disappointed if you do it that way. Right? Weather can shift, and it can shift quickly, right? It can be hot out. I get sleepy when it's hot out. I like to take roadside naps, right? Weather can, even in the shoulder seasons, like where we're talking about in the spring and the fall, it can get pretty hot during midday, right? Especially if you're wearing a full Gore-Tex climb suit that doesn't breathe very well. It can get pretty warm. So, you'll probably end up taking a power nap or two along the way if you're like me. Always love a good quick nap. The heat knocked that guy out. But, okay, yeah, it gets hot, but it can also, yeah, and that's in Death Valley, extreme heat there, of course. It can also get really cold, right? Particularly at night when the sun goes down and if you're at elevation. Like I said, you can get to some serious elevation in the Southwest. There are some spots we stay overnight where it's not uncommon that you wake up in the morning, especially, in that October range, you walk out to the bikes and there's a dusting of snow on the motorcycles, right? You got to wait an hour or two. You got to delay your start. Once the sun peaks up over the horizon, things tend to warm up pretty quick. But when that sun peaks down again, it gets cold. Just be prepared for all of that. Yeah, beautiful. Snow covered. And just to touch on the packing and what kind of gear do I bring, what the weather's going to be like, weather apps are pretty good nowadays, right? If you check the weather a couple of days before you head off and you look at that 10-day forecast, that 7-day forecast, it's going to be pretty accurate for the most part. Everybody has their own preference on weather apps, what you like to use. We like to use Weather Underground. It's extremely comprehensive, but pick your poison with that stuff. I think all of them are going to be pretty decent. Yeah, some snow on the ground. It can get cold up there, and you can get to some elevation. This is the summit that we go over. That you're knocking on 10,000 feet up there, so it can be cold. Even in the middle of the day, it can be cold up there at that kind of elevation. Okay. Another question we get a lot of, what kind of motorcycle, Dax? What kind of motorcycle do I bring to the Southwest? What kind of motorcycle is appropriate? And again, to this question, I just say yes, because any motorcycle is appropriate. You can ride any kind of bike you want to ride out there. Of course, MotoQuest's weapon of choice is the GS, right? Guides typically like the big 1250, but certainly the 750, the 850, the new 900s, whatever it is, those are going to be all more than adequate to ride out there in the Southwest. You can ride big Harleys, right? This is going to be a very popular sight that you'll see out there. Some of those wide open stretches of road, those interstates, Route 66, that's a very popular thing to do. People ride their Harleys from all over to go ride Route 66. Fantastic bike choice. Got nothing against Harley Davidsons. You can even ride a scooter if you want to. Like this guy, he's a beast riding it off road, man. Absolutely. You can ride anything. Even a trike if you want to. I think this is like somebody who brought their crazy customized Goldwing trike on a tour once, and it rode it no problem. So you can truly bring any kind of bike you want to ride the Southwest. It's all good. Okay. This is another good little stopping point here, Mike. Any questions queued up, or am I good to keep rolling?
Not any questions, but Nick did give us a heads up that for non-US residents, the annual park pass is now $250. So keep that in mind if you guys are looking for that one. For US citizens and residents, it's $80 annually, and a senior pass is 20, and a senior lifetime pass is $80. And then military is free.
Excellent. There you go. Thank you. Thank you for giving those prices for us. I appreciate that, sir. Okay, so I touched on briefly the two tours that we offer in the Southwest. I'm going to get a little bit more into them here. What you're looking at right here is our American Southwest tour that I mentioned. That's that Las Vegas East tour. And you can see it's a big loop through the Southwest. You spend certainly a bit of time in Arizona, right? You do a little bit of Route 66. You go up to the Grand Canyon, check that out. Get into southern Utah. You can hit Four Corners Monument there, kind of a cool thing to do. Get into Colorado, Moab, decent chunk of time through that southern Utah section that is just absolutely gorgeous, and then back into Vegas again. We have multiple guides for this trip. I've guided this trip a handful of times. Phil's guided this trip, our founder, a handful of times. Phil is actually right now down in Baja, Mexico, guiding a tour. So unsure if he's going to be guiding one of these tours this year. He's a pretty busy dude, but we have tons of guides for these trips. The Southwest tour, we're running it twice this year. I got the dates right here. First one we're going to run is April 15th through the 14th, so coming up here rather quickly. And then we're going to run it again October 18th through the 27th. So really quickly, we'll just go through a couple of the highlights of the American Southwest Tour here. First of which is Route 66. This tour actually starts off really strong. Pretty much the first day out on the road, you're going to hit Route 66 and do some of that fun stuff. That's really the first day is the big focus of Route 66 and that classic Americana. That's something that interests you, and it should. It's pretty cool. The Mother Road. That is the full length of Route 66. We only ride just a very small snippet of it, and really, we get a lot of questions about this, and I kind of have to break hard sometimes that a lot of the original route no longer exists. A lot of the route was paved over. It was incorporated into the interstate system. So a lot of it no longer exists. Some of it still does. And I think some of the best sections of it are in Arizona that we get to ride. All right. Route 66, Seligman, Arizona is one spot that we go to. Really cool. Get to ride through there and check it out. Just, again, classic Americana, Main Street going down, Seligman, really cool. Of course, you got the Burma Shave signs. It's one of those things, if you know, you know. Pretty cool. You get to see those. They're still up there. Classic example. That is Mr. Dan Patino. He is the man. He is one of our main American Southwest guides. I absolutely love Dan Patino. I don't have enough good things to say about that man. And here he is again. I think this is just outside Oatman, Arizona, a classic old gas station stop. Pretty cool. The Hams beer advertisement back there and a mobile ad. It's cool stuff. Old Ford, Model T, Model A, something like that. This is in Williams, Arizona. Again, Route 66. This is where we stay at our first night on the road in American Southwest. It is directly due south of the Grand Canyon. Williams is a cool town in and of itself. It's on the route. There's really cool old neon signs that you can check out, American diners, all that good stuff. It also serves as the perfect launching point to the next morning. We blow north, and within an hour, you're at the gates of the Grand Canyon. And you get to check that out kind of early in the morning before a lot of the crowd arrive. What more can be said? It's unmistakably the Grand Canyon, just one of the natural wonders of the world. This photo, of course, does not do it justice. One of the cool things that we get to do on our Southwest trip is that frequently, if the group is interested in it, totally optional, we will take you up in a helicopter tour of the Grand Canyon, where you can actually get up and ride a helicopter out and into the Grand Canyon. Really cool experience. I'm not much of one for helicopter rides. It was my first time doing it. I was pretty nervous. It took me a good 20 minutes the first time I went up to kind of relax and actually enjoy where I was at. But once I did, it was incredible. Just sitting at the rim of the Grand Canyon and looking out at it is cool, certainly. But getting in a helicopter and going out and into the Grand Canyon just is a whole next level experience. Really, really cool. Oh, awesome. Okay, so this is one of the optional dirt rides that I mentioned to you guys on the American Southwest trip. This is the Moki Dugway. Really cool road. My understanding is that the road was put in to facilitate uranium mining in the area back in the probably 30s or 40s. And now it's just a really cool public road you can go ride. It's a switchback dirt road all the way up to the top of a playa. And when you get to the top there, you can get off the bikes and go out to the edge, and you just get this beautiful, expansive view of the desert looking out there. It's really fun to ride up, and it's really fun to ride back down again. There's another shot of the Moki Dugway, and you can kind of see those switchbacks in and out of the frame there. Okay. Another shot of our American Southwest trip, just getting into Utah there. I believe that's just outside Monument Valley. And there is that shot of Monument Valley again. If you're a Forrest Gump fan, that should look familiar to you. I think it's actually called Forrest Gump Point or something like that. You can get out and take a picture, and like you'll see all sorts of interesting stuff there. Tourists, funny locals. It's just it's kind of a cool gathering spot for people to take their pictures. Yeah, look at that. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, man. That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, see, and there, there you go. There's a guy doing his Forrest Gump thing. Run, Forrest, run. Another cool spot that we get to go to is the Four Corners Monument. You can stand at exactly the spot that the borders of the four states all intersect right there. Kind of cool. There's lots of local Navajo craftsmen, artists that are selling their wares there that you can, of course, buy. We spend a night in Moab. I think I touched on that. Moab is, man, what a cool town Moab is. It's a young town. It's a hip town. It's a very outdoorsy, energetic town. There's lots of mountain bikers, rock climbers, 4x4 guys with their big Jeeps. There's motorcyclists there. I mean, it is just like the perfect intersection of all these really cool people and hobbies all descending into this town during the season. I love Moab. The energy there is excellent, and you can feel it just even walking down the street. You can feel the energy in the air there. Classic diner. Get your ice cream out in the middle of the desert. This is the Schaefer Trail. This is a really cool. This is part of the optional dirt ride that we do on that rest day in Moab I mentioned. And this is just a small section of it, but man, what a section it is. It is just like, wow. It just kind of pops up on you, and you, again, do these really cool switchbacks all the way up this cliffside. Really fun ride. Definitely a little white knuckling it there a couple times, because there's some pretty precipitous drops. But if you have the stomach for it, really cool. Yeah. Colorado River. And just more cool stuff that you see in the Southwest, these cool natural rock tunnels you get to ride under. I believe this is just outside Bryce Canyon National Park. Hollow Mountain. This is I don't know why I've just always really liked this place. It's a gas station and convenience store that is inside a Hollow Mountain, just like the name suggests. It's just kind of one of those weird, quirky things that you wouldn't see anywhere other than the American Southwest. It's kind of a fun little, yeah, there you go. That's one of the walls inside, and that is just the inside the mountain. I think that's on your way to the bathrooms all the way in the back. Mexican hat, another cool feature there, natural feature. Cool stuff. Hole in the rock. It is a hole in the rock, exactly like what you think it is. Guys turned it into a big stop there. And that is our American Southwest trip. Now, I'll just briefly go over the second trip that we offer, which is the Wonders of the West trip. We, again, run this twice a year in the shoulder seasons. I have the dates right here. First one is March 28th through April 4th, and I am going to be guiding this trip for that March 28th to April 4th date. So really looking forward to that. I'll be going out there here in a couple of weeks to guide that trip. We also run it again in the fall season, October 10th through the 17th as well. So Wonders of the West, like I said, is you can think of it as Las Vegas West loop that we do. And again, you do some of the same stuff, right? You can see we go through Kingman, Arizona. You ride through Oatman, so you still get that Route 66. We spend our first night on the road in Lake Havasu City. From there, we continue to head west, going through Joshua Tree National Park. And then you can see we spend a good amount of time in kind of the outskirts of the LA Basin right there because, man, some of the best riding roads in the world anywhere are in the mountains outside Los Angeles. So we really take our time and just snake our way through all those beautiful mountain twisty roads on the outskirts of Los Angeles. From there, we're going to shoot north through Bakersfield, just touching on the outside of Sequoia National Forest, where we go through Death Valley, do all that kind of fun stuff, and then back into Vegas again. Now, I'll level with you guys that we have not guided this trip for a number of years now. I think since COVID, we have not guided this trip. And so a lot of the pictures I have, I don't have many of them. And the ones that I do have might be a little bit dated. So just bear with me on that. First stop we make before we even get outside of town, visit the Hoover Dam, right? You're already in Las Vegas. You got to go to the Hoover Dam and check that out. Like I said, we go through Oatman, Arizona, one of those old mining Wild West towns that is on Route 66. A little bit about the history there. The one thing that Oatman is known for are its burros, right? Burros are kind of pseudo donkeys that they used for mine work. When the gold mine shut down, they just let all the burros loose, and they've actually done a pretty good job of surviving out there in the desert. So that is what Oatman is known for now. But you can see here's a storefront in Oatman, that old classic Wild West facade that they got going on there. Again, you can get ice cream. Ice cream is a big hit out there in the desert. The classy ass in Oatman. And there's one of the burros. And they are just walking around out in the street. And, you got to treat them with respect, right? They are a live animal. They are to be treated with respect. You certainly want to be nice to them and maybe be a little cautious about walking behind them in case they decide to kick. I haven't seen that happen to anybody. But again, I just like to, treat them with respect. And so burros are one of the things that you can see out there on the road. And you do have to be careful because they have learned that when they come up to a car, that people will roll down their windows and give them a little bit of food, right? And so the byproduct of that is that the burros will just kind of linger in the road, right? And the road into Oatman, where they are, is pretty twisty. There's a lot of blind corners. And so you might be tempted to pick up the pace and get in the zone and start cruising through these corners, and it feels good, but you really can't. You got to keep your speeds moderated because there could be a burrow in the middle of the road out there. Same thing goes with these cattle. A lot of the Southwest is open range, and so it is not uncommon to see cattle in the road, or a dead cow on the side of the road that was unfortunately hit by something. So you got to be careful. There are some road hazards out there in the Southwest, cattle being one of them, burros being another. And there you go. There's some cowboys, some actual cowboy, real cowboys. Real cowboys do still exist. Working cowboys are out there. This is some of them doing a cattle drive on the road. And trust me, when you run into this, there is nothing you are doing about it. You are parking your bike, putting your kickstand down, and you are politely waiting for them to finish their job. There ain't nothing you're doing about any of that. You're going to sit there patiently is what you're going to do. But there's also wildlife hazards you have to worry about, right? As if the cattle and the burros weren't enough, you also have deer. These deer blend in extremely well, take my word for it, with the local vegetation. They're quick and they are liable to jump right in front of you. So, again, in the Southwest, you'll get to some certain sections of road where it's wide open, it's perfectly straight. You might be tempted to kind of, open up the throttle and start cruising to make up some time. Totally understandable. You really want to fight that urge as much as possible because there could be a deer out of nowhere. And if you're doing 75, 80, 85 miles an hour when you think no one's looking, that's all good and well. You might not get a speeding ticket, but you are liable to hit a deer. And if you hit a deer at that speed, you're going to have a bad day. So again, I just want to stress that there are some road hazards that you need to be aware of if you're riding out there. And then, of course, the biggest road hazard of all is the RVer, right? And I say that jokingly, but only halfway, right? Those RVers, they can be gnarly. And what'll happen is, if you're stuck behind an RV on a single lane road, something like that, and you're waiting for your opportunity to pass, well, the locals probably aren't as patient as you are, right? Because those locals probably drive that road every day, maybe a couple times a day. The locals go flying down these roads. And so you have to not only watch for hazards in the oncoming lane if you decide that you want to overtake this RV, you also have to watch out for the local behind you that's likely to just jump the line and get out in front of you if they think that you're waiting too long, right? So RVers and locals, just motorcyclists beware on both of those. Okay. This is that first night that I mentioned on the Wonders of the West tour that we stay at Lake Havasu City. Really cool spot right there on the lakeside, palm trees, just really good vibes there. Some of the Joshua trees that you'll see in Joshua Tree National Park. Badwater Basin. I love that picture. That's one of my favorite pictures from our tours. Badwater Basin's in Death Valley. Another cool thing that you can go and check out, see what's going on there. You actually are several hundred feet below sea level. Kind of cool. Okay, and that is the end of my presentation. Before we cut loose, I let you guys go. Mike, do we have any lingering questions that I can answer?
Yeah, I've got one question here, and I've got also a comment too. You had mentioned wildlife down in the Southwest. Another thing to be very cautious of riding in the Southwest is riding at night, because those dangers of those animals get more intense. And in a lot of places, there's very few places for light to actually reflect off of, so you can see those animals coming. I spent about 7 years down in the Arizona area, and I had never made a trip into northern Arizona or western Arizona that I did not see multiple animals each day crossing the road trying to play a game of Frogger with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I would probably even just make that more broad and just say try to avoid riding motorcycles, period, at night. But extra so in the Southwest. Mike's absolutely right about that.
And we do have a question here asking, what is a common group size for the Southwest tours?
Yeah, common group sizes for not just Southwest tours, but MotoQuest tours in general. We have a hard cap at our tours at 12 participants, right? And I said the word participants, not riders. So if we get a couple that wants to ride two up, even if they're on one motorcycle riding two up, we're going to count that as two participants. So we cap our tours at 12 participants. And usually we need a minimum of somewhere of around 8 to run a tour. Typical group size is maybe about 10 participants is about right. You get any more than 12 riders, if you guys have ever done any group rides, you totally know how it goes. If you have more than 12 people, it turns into a circus, right? You'll spend an hour at a gas station just trying to get everyone to top off and put their helmets back on all at the same time to go riding again. So we really are firm about that 12 rider cap, 12 participant cap, excuse me. Any other questions, or was that the last one?
That's actually all the questions. Unless anybody else has any that they want to slip in there last minute.
Perfect. Well, I will just say closing remarks here, guys. Again, thank you. I appreciate you taking about an hour out of your busy days to attend this. This was my first webinar that I put on personally. I wasn't just facilitating Phil's. So I appreciate you being here for my first webinar. If you guys have any questions, concerns, we will send out a follow-up email to all of you guys just saying, hey, here's who I am. Here's my email. If you got any questions, shoot me an email. Always happy to talk with you guys, whether you decide to do it with a MotoQuest tour or a MotoQuest rental, or you decide to do it completely by yourself. I want this webinar to be a resource for you guys, and I want to be a resource for you guys as well. So any questions, feel free to follow up with me in my email chat. And otherwise, I'll see you all out there. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everybody.